Hey, what's up? This is Derek Crabb. This is another picture-in-picture commentary for the History of Comics on Film, second season, the 60s, 1960s. So today we're going to be looking at The Flash. These were from the DC Comics Superheroes Filmation series. So the way that worked was there was the Superman Aquaman hour, and so you'd have Superman episodes and Aquaman episodes. The Superman episodes would be two Supermans with a Superboy sandwiched in it, and then the Aquaman episodes would be an Aquaman episode, a fill-in episode, and then another Aquaman episode. So the fill-in episodes were either the Flash, Green Lantern, the Atom, Hawkman, or a Justice League of America episode. But I decided to split these up. Kind of like, maybe it just means I'm a DC whore. I don't know. I didn't do that with the Marvel superheroes. I bunched them all into one segment. But here, I don't know. I just figured I had more to talk about. And my opinions on all the series weren't entirely the same, I guess, or I guess kind of what I did was I didn't editorialize as much on these. I don't think I gave a big opinionated what I thought of it at the end of each piece. I just kind of went into the details and the history and gave sort of my 2 cents on what I would hope to see in a Flash movie or a Green Lantern movie and stuff like that. So that wouldn't, I guess maybe in some ways learning from the Marvel superhero segment, maybe not editorializing as much, but also talking about something else. So this is my brief exclamation. This is my brief explanation of the whole Golden Age, Silver Age transition. I didn't want to go into, at length, about all the different previous versions, especially because a lot of those weren't on TV and film. Not very much. I mean, I had to sort of grab the Jay Garrick Flash from Brave and the Bold, because for a lot of these guys, that's the only time you really saw any of them. I mean, I know there was that sort of phony Justice League episode where they had the Golden Guardsman or whatever, or the Green Guardsman and the those guys. But those don't really count, not to me anyway. It's like talking about the Kid Toyman from Superman Batman when you're talking about Winslow Schott. It's like they're not the same guy. And so, yeah, here's some funny stuff from the Legends of the Superheroes, because, this is one of the first times there's a live-action interpretation of The Flash. And then, of course, you got Dawson's dad doing his duty as The Flash. I really liked the show, but it had the unfortunate fate to be paired alongside The Cosby Show and The Simpsons on Thursdays, I think. So when that aired, it was like I guess it couldn't compete with those other two shows. Those were just too popular. And eventually, I think it moved to like Sundays or something. I mean, I would have watched every episode of the show if I had known when it would have been on. But back then, there weren't DVRs, and you had VCRs, and I tried to tape things when I could. But basically what ended up happening was, you'd only see every other episode, and then there was a time change, and then all of a sudden you'd be recording something on Thursday night, and it wasn't The Flash anymore. And then eventually I think I figured it out in time to watch like the last Mark Hamill Trickster episode, and I was like, oh, cool, like that was like one of my favorite episodes of all time. So anyway, better than all the guys in the black trench coats anyway. And then, of course, I had to throw in this nod here to, it's I guess, Whedon or, whoever wrote this, is nod to The Flash on Angel, which is awesome. Nice little way for me to explain without having to explain. So thanks, Josh. Yeah, and so we've got Kid Flash, who's also voiced by Michael Rosenbaum in this, as well as being voiced by him in Justice League. And then, of course, some people are like, oh, he's Lex Luthor. But, yeah, so he is. The one thing I wish that I would have been able to include in this, but it hadn't really aired yet, and so I had no idea it existed until I saw it. But what was cool about this was I had just showed this to my dad, explaining who Barry Allen was and how he died in the Crisis and how Wally West took over and all that kind of stuff. And he kind of chuckled at this part here. He liked, Batman kind of going, hey, I know who you guys all are and everything. So he laughed about that. But I remember I think it was like a month later or a couple weeks later, it was still pretty fresh in his mind. I asked him, I said, let's watch The Human Target because, it's a comic book show and I'm going to like it and let's do that. And so he's like, yeah, okay, let's check it out. And he ended up liking the show and everything. And I forget which episode it was, but I think it was like the second or third episode or whatever it was. And it's this guy in hiding in like a sort of witness protection program, but he's in a Canadian monastery or something. And he's all into comic books. So he's basically holding this theological class discussion about, afterlife and stuff. And it's The Flash and Crisis. And my dad went, I know who that is. Anyway, that was kind of cool. Because he wouldn't have known had he not watched this episode. So thanks for watching. Take care.